You drop your phone on your face?
No. If you're falling asleep, yeah.
No,
but I'm saying, like, your elbow just gets sore from holding the phone.
That's pretty terrible.
Welcome to episode 6, week 12 of the NFL. You are here with In the Booth podcast. You got yourself, the MC Juan Valley. To my right, as always, you got Brent, the Hitman Hart. And then to my left, you got Kyle Hacker, who doesn't get a nickname because he doesn't like nicknames. But Brent, it's Brent O'Connor, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to talk about everything that happened in week 11. But before we get into week 11, I don't know if you guys have saw yet, but on our social media, we put out our first ever audio clip on Monday night, kind of giving highlights of what to expect on the Monday Night Football game. If you haven't checked it, go to our Twitter and Instagram page. It's In the Booth FF on both platforms. But we had our boy Brent here put the audio clip together, and we came up with the idea of doing it probably around 6 o'clock, which was, and we're already cutting it short because the Monday night game starts at 8:25. And I swear to you guys, my boy Kyle here can attest to it.
I got it in with plenty of time.
3 hours later.
We didn't get it posted till right before halftime. So it was right around.
That's not.
Okay, that part was. It took me half an hour to get it because he recorded on the iPhone, which was a M4A format, and trying to get it to convert it because I wasn't at home to do it on my computer, so I had to do it all from my phone. And the tools I was using, like iMovie, wasn't recognizing the M4A platform. It was a nuisance. But nonetheless, we got it.
Enough tech talk.
Yeah.
Enough tech talk.
But it took Brent, no joke, probably 100 tries to get this going.
I can't help it. I kept stumbling over words, losing my train of thought.
It worked. It worked.
It was rough.
We were happy with the outcome of it. First time doing it. And, as Gary Vaynerchuk, if you guys don't know who that is, perfection is a killer. And so while
Story
it wasn't
of my life.
it wasn't perfection, I'm happy with the results of it. And our engagement was great with it, and we plan on doing more of these as the weeks come. So be on the tune for those. And like I said, if you haven't checked it out yet, go and check it out. Obviously, it's a little out of date now because it was about the Monday night game. And here we are.
But we're gonna keep doing them.
Yes, we're gonna keep doing them. And this is going to drop earlier on Thursday. So we normally drop our podcast about noon on Thursdays. So one's going to go a little bit earlier just because it is Thanksgiving, boys.
Hey, I'm hungry.
I'm offended.
Probably. Speaking of Thanksgiving, let's talk about, not football, let's talk about our favorite foods. Kyle, what's your favorite food? Kyle, what's your favorite food?
Man.
To eat on Thanksgiving?
On Thanksgiving, it's got to be the dessert, man. Like the pumpkin pie.
Okay, so
it's got to be the pumpkin pie.
Do you go for multiple rounds on the main course, or do you kind of like go light on the main course, knowing you're going to go ham on the dessert?
Man, if you know me, you know my favorite thing to do is eat. So I'm going I eat good anyway, but I'm going super hard on Thanksgiving. I'm going at least 2 plates in, and then at least a couple desserts.
All right, so what's your go-to dessert? If everything and anything is available to you, what's your ideal dessert to go to?
Did you not just listen to me?
I clearly didn't.
Pumpkin pie, Juan.
You don't want to shout out your wife's pumpkin roll? You were just talking about it before we started.
Pumpkin roll was banging too, but my favorite dessert's pumpkin pie for sure.
All right, what about you, Brent?
Man, that's tough. I'm the same way. I love food. And it's like Thanksgiving. I've contemplated trying to have Thanksgiving dinners throughout the year, just because I think it's bullshit that we only do it one night a year.
Right.
But I started making this cranberry chutney almost a couple years ago. It's fantastic. Cranberry, pecans, some apples. So good. So there's that. I make this Kentucky spoon bread. Shout out Grandma Jones. And
Grandma Jones, if you're out there, shout out, homegirl.
And then probably sweet potato casserole. I love sweet potatoes. So I will eat the shit out of them.
What about you, Juan? What's your favorite food, my friend?
As much as you guys are foodies, I am the opposite.
Do you only eat like turkey and mashed potatoes and that's it?
So my go-to at Thanksgiving every year since I've been alive consists of pretty much 3, maybe 4 items. Ham. I do not like turkey. Let me tell you about. I like turkey, but I don't like eating turkey if ham is available. If ham's available, going ham every single time.
I do agree. I think that like I like to have turkey and ham available because I like to kind of on.
I just don't like
each plate I get. I like to kind of switch it up.
Turkey's too dry for me.
I forgot to mention
So what dark meat, man?
the
Get
pineapples.
the legs and thighs.
The pineapples on the ham.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't like pineapples, and I'm supposing you probably like pineapples on your pizza too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so I like ham, then I like mashed potatoes,
So
and
hold
corn.
on.
Hold on, I'm not done
This
yet.
is really important. Do you eat the legs and the thighs of the turkey?
No, usually we'll just like have it sliced and I'll just
The
eat.
breast.
Yeah,
Do you know the parts of the turkey? Because you just like we just usually have it sliced. And
we'll just slice turkey.
you can take the drumstick, and that's dark meat, and it's much more.
That's too much work.
You literally can just pull it off.
Eating on Thanksgiving is about efficiency. Okay, efficiency.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about cutting it up. You pick it up and put it to your mouth.
No, that's too much work. Don't like
Okay,
it. Anyways,
keep on
I
with
go into the ham. My ham's my go-to. Okay, then I'll get mashed potatoes and gravy and corn, but I'll mix it all together, kind of like the KFC famous bowl.
Hey, I understand that.
And I'll eat that. And then my other 4th item, sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not, is dressing or stuffing, depending on what part of the country you're from. Love me some stuffing, and I'll even mix that into the corn and mashed potatoes and all that. Probably have 1 plate and get full, and that'll be it.
1 plate, that's it.
Yeah.
So growing up, I kind of was like I was a super picky eater. I would eat turkey with gravy, mashed potatoes and gravy, corn, and applesauce and a roll, and that's all I had for Thanksgiving. And I would do the same thing with my corn, mashed potatoes, and applesauce. I would mix them all together and just
I love
eat the
it.
shit out of it.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, anyways, enough about our Thanksgiving talk.
I could talk about food all day long.
Yeah, stay tuned for Brent's new podcast called In My Belly. Get in my belly. Speaking of get in my belly, this has nothing to do with the transition here, but the Steelers and the Ravens. Honestly, I don't know where to start with that because I'm torn. Obviously, the game got moved, folks. It is was supposed to be the Thursday night game that has now got postponed to Sunday because of COVID-related issues. And I can see why the Steelers organization and players specifically were so upset about them moving the game, considering the NFL has made different
Teams.
like outcomes or different calls for other teams throughout the season.
Yeah.
And so the players were ready to go Thursday night, be in front of a national audience, and the game got moved to Sunday now. So I see why Pittsburgh's upset, but I get it on both sides.
But I think that Pittsburgh, like if this was the first time it affected them, maybe they might not be as upset. But if you remember, they were the team that was supposed to face the Titans and had their bye changed, and now they're having more schedule changes due to the COVID. And I think that's kind of the problem with it, more than anything.
It's funny. Side note here. Kyle gets on us every week. Gets on me specifically about not turning my volume off or whatever.
Well,
on
that's
my
because
computer, on my phone.
you have videos playing on your computer at random points throughout the podcast.
And here Kyle is with his phone going off. Got mildly distracted here, but
It's
yes,
100% different. My phone was vibrating. It's on silent.
Was that your phone?
You guys just couldn't multitask enough to look away from the vibrating
honestly,
phone.
it was your phone. I couldn't see. Your hands were under the table.
Anyways, all right. So Ravens Steelers. Yeah, game got moved, and so we were going to talk about originally who's going to start in the Ravens backfield, given that Dobbins and Ingram are both tested for positive for COVID. So we're going to look: is Gus Edwards going to get the start, or is Justin Hill going to get the start? But now the Ravens have a few more days to kind of contemplate who's going to be the starter in the backfield come now Sunday.
I have no doubt, like whatsoever, it's going to be Gus Edwards. No doubt. Justice Hill.
Even if they pushed it back?
Yeah, they tested positive. They can't play this week. So Dobbins and Ingram are definitely out. It's I think it's a 10-day minimum if you test positive.
When did they test? I don't remember the date. What day did they test positive?
Either Sunday or Monday. I'm not sure
so
which.
within the last 10 days, which makes sense because of last week's play.
Yeah. So they absolutely will not be playing for the Ravens this weekend. So they've got Gus Edwards. They've got Justice Hill, like you mentioned, and I know they have a running back on the practice squad that I'm sure that they'll bring up to the active roster, but I haven't looked into it. I think Gus Edwards is going to get probably 75% of the carries. And Justice Hill is going to be a change of pace, like everybody thought he was going to be when he was a rookie last year. But I don't anticipate him having much involvement.
You're right. I don't either. He's got no, as far as rushing goes this year, he's got nothing. Goose eggs all year. He's got one reception for 3 yards so far this year. But yeah, Gus Edwards, I feel like it's definitely going to be the starter in the backfield. But it will be interesting to see how they utilize both Hill and Edwards. If it's going to be more workload for Edwards, or are they going to kind of usher in Hill to get him some reps come the game?
I think it's going to be like 75-25. I don't think Justice Hill's going to get a whole lot. I mean, if you're in like a super deep league, like 16-20 team league, maybe I don't even know if I'd look at them then because they're playing the Steelers, who have one of the best rush defenses in the league. Right. So I have Gus Edwards in one league, and I'm probably not even going to start him because I'm afraid that the Steelers are going to shut down their entire rush offense.
Absolutely.
That's their whole offense.
They're rushing. Yeah, because Lamar Jackson doesn't throw.
Yeah, what else are they going to do? Yep. Throw out Mark Andrews, though. He's going to get all
shout out Mark Andrews.
All the targets.
I don't disagree.
All right, moving on.
Hold on real quick.
Oh, okay. What else you got?
I was just looking up their running back on their practice squad. I mean, if you play in a super duper deep league, Tyson Williams is their practice squad running back. I don't know a whole lot about him. Came from BYU. He's a bigger back, 6', 220. He might get more carries than Justice Hill. He might be the back that you, if you're in a deep league, you look at over Justice Hill.
Okay. Next up on the list, boys, is the growing sensation down in New Orleans, Taysom Hill. Talk about a game on Sunday.
Man, definitely a different offense with Taysom Hill. Yeah. Heading that offense.
Kyle, you going to gloat about being able to take advantage of that tight end play in the ESPN league?
It was phenomenal, man. I got to start Taysom Hill as my tight end, and
how many points did they end up getting you?
Like 24. Great week for a tight end. I had, I was playing against T.J. Hawkinson in that matchup. He had 6 points, so that just that put me ahead right there.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but I logged in this morning to our league, and a notification popped up right away that he's no longer eligible.
Yeah,
for
that's
unfortunate.
That's what I was just about to ask. What are you going to do this week since you're not going to be able to put him in a tight end? Are you going to play him at quarterback?
No.
Who are your other quarterbacks?
Deshaun Watson.
Do you have another quarterback on your roster?
No, that's it. I only carry one. But Taysom Hill, I do have him in a different league, and I am starting him over Matt Ryan this week. I think that his rush ability is just. We just talked about Lamar Jackson. He's going to run the ball. He threw the ball as well. He went 18 completions, 23 attempts, 233 yards with 2 rushing touchdowns. That's phenomenal, man. And everybody was talking about Taysom Hill as a passer. But when you go back the last 3 weeks prior to the bye week, Atlanta's defense has been decent to opposing quarterbacks. Week 7, Matt Stafford. Week 8, Teddy Bridgewater. Week 9, Drew Lock. Nobody wowed. I mean, Taysom Hill is right there with them stat-wise. And we're talking about somebody, this is the first, real look at a quarterback that we've seen, and I think he held his own.
Going back to what we were just talking about, would you start him over there, Lamar Jackson?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
You think he'll continue to do you think they'll expand his passing roles, or do you think that they will keep him in that 20 to 25 pass per game range?
I would say he's probably in that range.
So with that being said, do you think he'll I'm of the mindset that I think that he won't have as much production the longer he is quarterback, unless they increase his passing totals.
And I understand why you're saying that, but another thing that you have to look at, Alvin Kamara had 1 target last week, and he still had 23 attempts. So if they get back to that Saints offense,
Michael Thomas had like 16.
I know. Who would have thought?
No.
Who would have thought?
So another facet of this, I honestly, like, he's been out all season pretty much. I'm not surprised it took, or they maybe, I don't know if it was game plan or what, but I'm not surprised that he took off in his 3rd game back. Because I feel like your first 1-2 games, you're still kind of getting your legs under yourself when you're coming back and getting into playing shape. And then that 3rd game, you're just about there. So I'm not too surprised that he had 100 yards and I mean 16 targets. Yeah, that's a lot of targets, but I think that he's capable of doing that with 10 targets.
Fair enough.
One thing I want to know about Taysom Hill, he achieved something that not many players in NFL history has achieved. He is now one of only 10 NFL players to have at least 500 career rushing yards, 300 career passing yards, and 300 career receiving yards. The last player to do so, can you boys guess?
Hold on. Was it 500 passing, 500 or 300 receiving, and 300
passing?
So 500 rushing. Mike Vick?
Nope.
I'm not going to attempt to guess. I'm not sure.
Hold on. Not Jim Thorpe was running back. All right, go ahead.
Terrell Pryor was the last player.
Yeah.
He played 2011, 2018. The player before him was Cordell Stewart.
And Antoine Randall-Wells not on there either? Mm-hmm. He would have been another one. Yeah, yep. Cordell Stewart, that was my dude.
So shout out to Taysom Hill.
Slash.
Only 10 players in all of NFL history. All right, moving along to another rookie quarterback. Well, I guess the first one we're talking about so far. Tua getting benched. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
It actually kind of frustrates me, and I think it's the wrong move. I think that once you decide to make that move and go from the veteran to the rookie, that you ride that out unless there is some serious issues. Yeah, was he struggling? Absolutely, but he's got to kind of figure that out. And when you decided to go with that rookie quarterback, you decided to go with the ups and downs of rookies in their rookie season.
All right, to play devil's advocate here, given what happened to Joe Burrow, which we'll talk about here in a moment, he's a rookie quarterback. So under the same philosophy, if they would have kept Tua in there, he could have been injured. The head coach, Brian Flores, potentially saw something in his play that he didn't want to take that risk, pulled him out because he is going to be the franchise quarterback moving forward. Throw Fitz in there for the rest of the game.
So,
just playing devil's advocate here.
Why did they make the switch?
So according to Brian, quote here, when that's going on throughout the course of a game, you've got to try to do something to create some momentum. That's why we made the switch. Talking about Tua, was healthy in regard to the pressure.
So he made the switch because they were sucking, not because he thought that there was an injury risk or anything like that. He simply said, okay, well, Tua sucks right now, so I'm going to go back to Ryan Fitzpatrick because I think he might be able to air it out and take more risk. That's the wrong philosophy, I think. I think not only is it it gives that rookie quarterback a complex, in my opinion, to be looking over his shoulder for the rest of the season saying,
if he makes a mistake, he's going to get pulled.
Exactly.
Yep.
How many incompletions can I make? How many interceptions can I throw? How many times can I be sacked? Because now you've made a precedent that you're going to pull him if he struggles.
It's true. I don't like that. But also, to the flip side of that is, do you think that would push Tua to not make mistakes, to make sure he brings his A game every play?
When you're doing something, right, and you're pressing, are you more likely to make mistakes, or are you more likely to make mistakes when you're just in your natural flow?
It depends on the person.
I'm asking you.
I thrive under pressure.
So
only because I'm a procrastinator and I wait till the last minute.
What I was just about to say.
And I've been doing it for so long that it's become natural to me.
So I completely understand that. Like, if I procrastinate and need to get something done or whatever in a time frame, I'm good with that. But I know when I was playing sports as a youth that when I made a mistake and I had negative self-talk or questioned myself or, told myself I needed to be better, like what if he starts making mistakes again and gets to where, well, I got to be better so I don't get pulled. If that's his internal model or narrative in his mind, for me, that would cause me to have more problems.
And a part of me understands why Brian went that route, because he wants to win. And so I guess in his eyes, he was like, I did everything I possibly could to bring the W back. He didn't get that, unfortunately, in this particular case. I personally would have left Tua in there the whole game just because he needs to be in those situations for the career. But I see at least he tried something.
So that's the thing, though. I understand that he wants to win. But when you decide that you're going to put your rookie quarterback in, you've decided that that's who you're going with, and that's who you've got to stick with. There's no flip-flopping.
But see, that mentality is also wrong, because you got to be able to make adjustments on the fly. If something's wrong, that's like the definition of insanity. You're going to keep doing something over and over, and you're going to see the same results. Change it up.
So was his initial decision to sit Fitzpatrick, who looked great, the wrong decision, or was it the right decision to get your rookie quarterback involved and see what you have?
That's a good question. The one that we'll be able to answer more clearly at the end of the season, but definitely a good question.
So my thing about it is you have these young men that have been the cream of the crop their entire life, right? And they've likely never had somebody come and take them out of a game or say, hey, you're sucking ass. It's time for you to go sit the bench and I'm going to try to go win this game. And that can be a serious mind mess up.
Mind fuck.
So I think that it's like, so did you guys watch the game? I think it was Sunday night, right? The Chiefs played Sunday night, right?
Yes.
So did you hear about when Le'Veon Bell came and was going to come to the Chiefs?
He made sure it was okay with Clyde Edwards-Helaire for that reason.
Exactly.
And let me hit on this real quick. The coach's decision to put Ryan Fitzpatrick in didn't work. They look better. They moved the ball, but at the end of the day, he threw an interception.
And they didn't win.
So, with that being said, I'm not sure. I mean, wrong choice, right choice, who knows? But with Tua out there, Tua hasn't thrown an interception this year. Fitzpatrick threw an interception.
I heard an analogy. Right, I was listening to Daniel Jeremiah, and I heard this analogy when he was talking about this situation. He said, if you have kids, right, and you are trying to teach them how to ride a bike, they're riding. They've got the concept figured out, right? So you take off the training wheels, right? You're got them going. You let go of the bike, they fall. You put the training wheels back on, or you have them get up and go again. What do?
That is not a good analogy in this particular case because you're talking about two people, not a person in an inanimate object.
It's saying, but it's giving that person the impression that they have to revert or have to be assisted, or that they're not doing good enough, and it creates negative self-talk, and that's
is Tua going back to the practice squad, or is he going back to college? No, he's just sitting on the bench. So it's not like putting the training wheels back on. He got penalized for falling off of the bike. So a more appropriate response or analogy would have been: you fell off the bike, now you're going to get spankings.
Exactly. But
same difference.
Yeah, so you understand what I'm saying.
Still being
you're still penalizing them for making a mistake, and so then. I mean, do you want to talk about training dogs and positive reinforcement compared to negative reinforcement?
A perfect example is training dogs. If your dog takes a dump on the floor, do you not say anything and just let him keep pooping on the floor?
You do, but you don't take. Do you take them and drag them outside? No, you make sure that they don't do it again. You don't do negative. It's negative reinforcement.
But it's not negative reinforcement.
Executive decision. Let's talk about another rookie quarterback, Joe Burrow. What happened, Juan?
Joe Burrow. It's a touchy subject. Okay.
Man.
Very touchy subject. I don't think anybody in the sports industry saw this one coming outside the fact that the Bengals O-line is pretty much horrendous this year, and we all saw it coming, let's be honest. It was inevitable.
You know, it being in Cincinnati, being based in Cincinnati, I think for us it cuts deep, even deeper than like just in the fantasy world. Yeah, it sucked. So
I didn't get to see the play live. I went back and watched the replays, which was pretty it's pretty gruesome. But torn ACL, torn MCL, and other structural knee issues. He's out for the remainder of the year.
Also.
I honestly would
and
be
PCL.
I think I saw some reports as early as 6 months he can, be back to 100%, and I'm using air quotes on that 100%. It's obviously, I think in my eyes, it's going to take longer. And he said he's coming back for the 2021 season, so that's August preseason games. So we're looking at.
He said he'll be back for the season. He didn't say when in that season.
True.
So that's the concerning part to me.
True, but nonetheless, we'll just assume it was beginning of the season. So we're looking at September. So we're 9-10 months away, and on at the very best 6 months he's recovering, and so he's going to get 3 months of reps in the play there. I'm sure he can toss the ball around at the 5-6 month mark, but man, that was devastating to say the least.
It's super unfortunate for Joe Burrow.
It is.
He was on pace to have a phenomenal rookie season. Obviously, their offensive line was not helping him out, but he really was playing good football.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so, with this being said, there's been talk of like whether he should have been benched because of the possibility of this happening. And so, I am of the mindset like I don't think he should have been benched. I think that you're playing a full contact sport that can be brutal at times. So it could happen on any play. The part that bothered me is how nonchalant the coach, Zach Taylor, was when he was asked about it in his press conference. He said something to the effect that...
shit happens.
Yeah, things just happen.
Yeah.
Not only that, but Duke Tobin, the
director of player personnel or something.
Yeah.
Like pro personnel.
Also said something along those lines where it's kind of nonchalantly, and it wasn't like that. And that's coming from the Bengals organization, and that's something that we faced here in Cincinnati for centuries. It feels like where it just doesn't seem like they really care about winning overall, and just that atmosphere just isn't there. And one thing I do want to touch on with Burrow specifically was he was sacked 32 times through this past week. That's third overall. The only two quarterbacks higher than him were Wilson and Wentz. Wilson was at 33. Burrow was at 32, like I said. Wentz was at 40. So if Burrow, who was without a doubt the number one pick on anybody's team last year, would have went after him, they didn't do enough to protect him with the O-line. It's like, if he's going to be the quarterback of the future for the organization, why not invest more in the O-line? We did invest heavily in the defense, which I get. We needed help in the defense too. But I would have rather have taken that money, protected on the O-line. We can give up 30, 40 points a game if we can also put up 30, 40 points a game. I'd rather taken that sacrifice for a year and then move forward.
It's such a tough conversation because we can talk about what ifs and what we could have done, but unfortunately for us being Bengals fans, the Bengals didn't do what they needed to do to protect Joe Burrow. I know, Brent, you said you shouldn't sit him, and, like I said, everybody has their own opinions. He's out there just getting chased down, and, he's in a gauntlet out there with these 300, 400-pound defensive linemen just absolutely killing him every game. At some point, somebody needs to think, hey, maybe we should run a different offensive scheme. There's other things you can do to protect your quarterback than just let him get demolished every game.
Well, so that's again. There's different parts of that too, because you talked about investing in the offensive line. So they went out and signed. So Jonah Williams, their offensive line last year was freaking terrible, right?
Yes.
They had several injuries throughout the season last year. They went out, or their first round pick from last year went out with I think a torn ACL also. So he was back. He's been the highest graded offensive lineman this year. Then you had a rookie also at left guard in Michael Jordan, who they saw a lot of promise in and thought that would take another step in his second year. Their center was their highest rated player of the line last year, so they kept him. They did go and sign a right guard in Xavier Suafilo, who got hurt in preseason, I think, or the first game, something like that. And then who I think that should have replaced is Bobby Hart, was the only other holdover from last year. But then this year, they have been littered with injuries also.
We have.
And so that's part of the issue. And then you have Joe Burrow, who is a never say die kind of quarterback, who no matter how long the play is going or what the play is, if he doesn't find somebody open, he's not the kind of quarterback that's going to throw the ball away. He's going to try to extend the play as long as he can until somebody's either on his hip or he's at the sidelines and has to throw the ball away. It's just his mentality. And so that's not what happened here. He wasn't trying to extend the play, but I'm just saying that his mentality doesn't allow that type of change in the scheme. Even if there's pressure, he's not going to just go down and
so
get ready for the next play. He's going to try to find somebody and make something happen.
The news came out that Bengals are planning to start Brandon Allen this week. Mm-hmm. Do the Bengals change that scheme with a different quarterback in now, or do you think we're still going to see the same offense? Do you think this affects Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, AJ Green?
Absolutely, it's going to affect them. I mean, you're taking I think that Joe Burrow, even as a rookie, with the still trying to learn pro defenses and get a grasp completely on this offense, I still would say he's in the top half of the league as far as quarterbacks. And then you're going to Brandon Allen, who it's kind of funny. They skipped over their backup quarterback and signed Brandon Allen from their practice squad this week, and that's who they decided to start. And Brandon Allen, if I remember correctly, when he was drafted, he was a little bit more of a mobile quarterback. Coming out, I think he came out of Arkansas, but I think that might actually be why they are electing to start him because they know that there are issues.
Yep. I brought this up. I went back and watched film on Brandon Allen prior to the podcast, and I watched his first start. He was
For the Broncos? Is that right?
the Broncos. They played Cleveland. He went for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. Denver's offensive line, from what I've seen, looked a lot like the Bengals' offensive line that year. He was, I mean, he had
gets
no
out
time.
of he gets out of the pocket, right?
Yeah,
And
he's a mobile quarterback. He definitely looked capable, but I think this situation is going to be very similar to what he was dealing with in Denver. With that being said, he does look capable, but I'm not sure that it's going to affect our receivers as much as some people think it's going to. Joe Burrow and Brandon Allen they're similar. They're similar quarterbacks. So, we'll see. And did you guys see there was breaking news that Gio Bernard may be out this week with a concussion. So that means we're going to be throwing Pirine out there along with Brandon Allen.
And Trayvon Williams.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering something real quick on this past game. We had 15 rush attempts. 15. That averaged out to be just slightly under 4 attempts a quarter.
It's the same as Joe Burrow running from these defensive linemen. It's the same way as our running backs have no room to run.
So I know this is getting like kind of off the fantasy aspect, but like that's the problem. Like I thought that Zach Taylor would be a decent coach, but I think that he's not, I guess, clever enough. Like I feel like with the quarterback that we had in Joe Burrow and the running back, especially with Joe Mixon down, there's no reason, and even our wide receivers, why we aren't doing bubble screens or more screen game. And maybe it's the offensive lineman that can't move and get out to the flat and get outside the hash marks. But you look at all the things that like different coaches do throughout the league that are offensive gurus, and like Zach Taylor is nowhere near that. I don't feel.
It's unfortunate.
So one thing, I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing I about Zach Taylor that I wanted to touch base on, it's kind of been the topic of conversation here, at least locally. I know it's picked up across several national publications, but it's the locker room culture, and it's becoming a toxic culture within the locker room where the players don't perceive the coaching staff to be a good coaching staff and being able to actually coach them to victories or coach them in the games. And a lot of the quotes are going around. They're saying that the players equated to like a college level experience. But there was one anonymous player who said it was even worse than that in the locker room. So is it the coaching staff that we need to look at as far as replacing, and not necessarily the O-line or the scheme, that maybe it's just the playing calling coming from the coaching staff?
So that's last year I kind of gave him a pass because of all the issues, and it was his first year, and Andy Dalton is on the downturn of his career, and AJ Green was hurt. So Tyler Boyd, who I believe is actually more of a number 2 receiver, was your number 1. But now, like after about 3-4 games in, I started questioning, like, what are you doing? And then like our defense, like we have some playmakers, but then there is just there's just so many issues.
And then Carlos Dunlap.
And that's what I was going to say.
He's not starting for us.
You talk about the culture. And think about who was causing kind of rifts. And I like AJ Green doesn't get out in the public and say anything, same as Geno Atkins. I think that's why they still play on the team. But I think that they were having the same issues that Carlos Dunlap is having. And they are not, they don't like the direction that the coaching staff is going either.
Right. And Green and Ross both mentioned or alluded to that they wanted trades earlier this year as well.
Yeah.
So maybe the players are recognizing the issues and they're trying to speak out as best as they can. But I get where they're coming from. They don't want to lose playing time because in the end, that's going to hurt their pocketbooks.
Yeah. And I mean, heck, you talk about John Ross. You saw what happened with John Ross.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing.
All
right. Keeping along here, our final topic in the headlines this week is Justin Herbert.
On a positive. Let's end it on a positive note. Yeah, Justin Herbert stays hot, man. Like
No. He is lightning hot. See the play on words there? The play on words? Chargers? Lightning? Lightning bolt?
I get it. Yeah. Yeah, that's so clever.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, I didn't expect Justin Herbert to be doing this at all this season.
No, oh my God.
I mean, heck, I don't even know if I expected it in his entire career. But
do you remember how he got the start?
Yeah, punctured lung.
How? I mean, nobody's talking about this. Would we even see Justin Herbert if that didn't happen?
So I thought about so the coach, Anthony Lynn, came out after that happened and said that Tyrod would have his starting position back. And I was thinking, imagine if he doesn't get his starting job back and the grievance that he could file because of essentially a malpractice.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
That's wild. One of the things I want to note with Justin Herbert, he is on pace to be the best rookie quarterback in NFL history. He's on pace to have 397 completions, 4,498 passing yards, and 37 passing touchdowns, which would all be rookie records. Right now, he's only 6 touchdowns away from breaking the record.
Do you guys know that he never once in college took a snap under center? They were all shotgun snaps. Not a single snap under center.
And think about this Chargers team that he's leading without Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
Their main pass catching back. We know what he does. Think of the yardage that they've lost with Austin Eckler being out of the game as well.
So you say that the yards they lost actually, but if you look at Justin Herbert and his strength is his arm, the strength of his arm. He's able to make those long throws, and it's actually his short to intermediate pass game that he struggles with. Those are actually the things that I don't know that it will get better this year. And that's the thing, you talk about future of franchises. Those statistics, those deep passes, those are much harder to predict and harder to sustain, whereas the short intermediate passes are much easier to sustain those numbers, those efficiency and percentage wise. And that's where it makes me a little bit nervous for Justin Herbert's future.
I don't foresee that being a problem. Because once you get Eckler back into the mix, it's going to take some of the pressure off of his short to mid-range throws. Because right now they don't really have a true running back that's going to scare off the defense.
Kalen Ballage, that's who's been getting the targets. So far, he's got 18 targets on the year for only 76 yards. I'm 99.9% sure that if that's Austin Eckler in the game, so we're talking about Austin Eckler versus Kalen Ballage, there's going to be a lot more yards than 76. He's going to take one of them targets for 76 yards.
I'm not saying that he's not a more dynamic player. I'm saying that Justin Herbert, if they change their offense to gear it more towards getting Eckler involved or getting a tight end like Hunter Henry involved and scale back the bigger throws to Parnham and Mike Williams, if they start limiting that and changing their game plan, it could create less efficiency from Herbert.
I understand what you're saying. To my point, though, do you believe that a running game in the NFL helps wide receivers get open in the NFL?
Sure, because you can't key on one aspect of their offense.
So when they're lined up in the spread offense and they got Kalen Blige out there, that's one guy that these defenses aren't worried about.
Exactly.
I think that, and we can think all we want to, but if you go back to last year and look at what Austin Eckler did out of the backfield with his touches, Kalen Blige is averaging 25 yards per game through 3 games.
Yeah, that's not good.
Jeez.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, do you know all the narrative of Josh Allen? How it was always he's got a big arm, but he can't hit intermediate routes. But he was able to work on that and improve those numbers, improve that efficiency, and now that he can hit those targets, hit those passes on a consistent basis. That's what has made him into this star quarterback this year.
You don't think him getting Diggs, a good wide receiver, has helped?
Yes, to a point, but he's still got to be able to be accurate with those throws. Like if you look up PFF numbers, I don't have the numbers, but if you look up, and I know that this doesn't help the argument, but if you look up their numbers on and what his accurate throws were on intermediate routes, it was terrible. But they don't look at whether the wide receiver was good or whatever. It's the proximity of the throw to the receiver.
You still got to have these good receivers are going to make catches that not good receivers aren't.
So when they grade these throws, they're grading the throw. They're not grading the result of the throw. So they're grading whether it was a catchable pass or a non-catchable pass.
Looking at this year, would you say that Josh Allen, his completion percentage, you think his is better than Herbert's then this year? Since Josh Allen is so much better of a quarterback?
You guys are
No. Answer my question. Because you said Justin Herbert's accuracy. He's comparing him to Josh Allen.
Yes, I'm saying his ability to connect on these deep passes, which is where he is capitalizing, is not necessarily sustainable. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So if he's not able to connect on these deep passes, he already has a lower efficiency rate for intermediate passes, then it could cause a problem in the future.
But he's only having lower, what do you call it?
Both efficiency? Josh Allen.
Efficiency on the low to medium, because he doesn't have a running back to take the defense off of that. It's been
like this. That was his problem coming out of college. It's been like that his entire
You can't really
career.
compare college to pro because it's different.
Yeah. Yes, you can.
No.
Yeah, so you're saying that when they are grading these prospects, these college players, when they're getting ready for the draft, they're not grading them on their production in college because they can't compare.
Look at the GOAT.
I got big facts.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
Big facts over here.
Don't go there.
Josh Allen, 68% completion rate throughout all of his passes. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert, 68% completion throughout all of his passes.
Yeah, I believe that.
So he's accurate.
All right. Okay.
You're wrong. It's okay. Moving on. One thing I want to note here about Justin Herbert, the guy that Brent is not so hot on. For being a rookie, he is now throwing in his 5th game 3+ touchdowns, which is the most by a rookie in NFL history. Has 5 games with 300+ passing yards, tied for 2nd most by rookie in NFL history, and has had 2+ touchdown passes in 7 straight games, which is the longest streak by any rookie in NFL history. But yeah, he's going to be mediocre. He might make it to next year. We'll see.
He might be better than Josh Allen.
He might be. So that rounds up our headlines for this week. We went a bit long, gentlemen. So this is going to be a longer podcast. So listeners, we thank you for staying tuned throughout this week, and Yeah, well, let's get along here. Next up is Five Guys, or as our new plug would go.
Thanks, Helen. Tummy likey. Tummy want wingy.
Ooh, which guys do you guys likey? Brent, we'll start with you. Who's your number one guy that you likey?
Yeah, I like Jonathan Taylor. He finally got his chance again to be the main ball carrier in Indianapolis, and he didn't wow you necessarily with it, but he got 22 carries for 90 yards. I mean, that's damn close to 5 yards a carry, and then he still got 4 catches rather in the passing game. That's pretty good. In the if you pay attention to their games before, he was, even when Nyheim Hines had his big game, Jonathan Taylor was still getting targets in the passing game, which is, to me, very important. If he can be involved in the passing game, and we all know how good he was running the ball coming out of college, coming out of Wisconsin, if he can sustain that week to week, I think he could be a top 12 back.
I can see that.
Especially if you guys look at their upcoming schedule. He's got a great schedule for the rest of the season.
What I think is hurting Jonathan Taylor is when they get down, and it's not think, it's definitely a fact. When they get behind in these games, to date, they've been putting Nyheim Hines in, and he's getting a ton of looks, so it's a split backfield. Like you said, obviously Jonathan Taylor is the better running back of anybody there. It's not, when we talk about the Bengals coach, it's kind of like the Colts coach is following suit. What are they doing? Why is Jonathan Taylor not getting the work?
You know what I think that Jonathan Taylor's problem is that he's second guessing himself. He's not seeing the running lanes. I don't know if it's like he. And
what's crazy, real quick, Taylor and Hines, they're back to back in fantasy points. Taylor has 122, Hines has 121. Of course, this is all going off standard scoring, so your league will vary. But standard scoring, they're neck and neck.
So I have a theory about running backs, especially running backs that come from certain colleges, Wisconsin being one of them. I feel like Wisconsin is known for having just incredible offensive lines. And I feel like the running backs that come from Wisconsin sometimes struggle being able to capitalize in the running game in the NFL. And I don't know if that's because they are so accustomed to having that scheme and those good running lanes, and their vision just isn't as developed as some other running backs. But hopefully Jonathan Taylor can get that vision and get back to being highly productive. And that's what I think. I think even if he gets 15 to 20 carries a game, those are good numbers. And I think that with his schedule coming up, like I said, the next 2 games he's got Tennessee and Houston, terrible run defenses.
Mm-hmm.
If he can get those kind of that kind of involvement, he can put up good points. And he didn't score a touchdown last week. If you give him a touchdown, he's got a killer game.
I agree. Kyle, you got the man, the myth, the legend, Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson, the man, the myth, the legend. He's he's to date this year accounted for 88% of the Texans' yardage. Their running game has been non-existent, and Deshaun Watson is just absolutely making it happen. He threw for 380 yards and 3 touchdowns versus the Patriots last week. Their receiver core, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, they both look good. I don't know. I don't know how you bet against Deshaun Watson any week. If their offense gets cooking, they look great. He's got the Lions defense this week. This defense gave up 390 yards to Alex Smith in Week 10. then last week turns around and gives 258 yards up to P.J. Walker, who's the backup quarterback for the Panthers. Deshaun Watson he should just eat this Lions defense up.
Okay, since you're so high on Watson, who is currently ranked 6th overall in total points, would you start him or Herbert?
Watson. You have to just start Deshaun Watson versus Lions defense over Herbert.
And just a note, you can't go wrong with either player, honestly, because Herbert is 7th overall, and he's averaging 2 more points per game just because he has started less games. But either quarterback, they're 6 and 7, so you can't go wrong with either one. But yeah, I'm with you. Watson has looked. He won all Player of the Week this past week with his performance. So he's looking phenomenal. It's like something happened, like something clicked after they fired the head coach. Maybe it took him a game or two to kind of get back into the mix. He's looking phenomenal.
He really does, and like I said, with that running game being non-existent, he has no choice but to throw the ball. And
right.
Last week I said that Duke Johnson was going to be a strong pickup, and they were going to see what they had, and they've seen what they had, and it wasn't good. He looks like it doesn't even look like he's running when he has the ball. It looks like he's jogging. He looks slow. He doesn't look good. It's not good. I think we may see C.J. Prosise get some more work this week out of the backfield as well.
Interesting. All right, Brent, you have Antonio Gibson.
I do. He's a running back that actually coming into the season I wasn't very high on. I wasn't sure how his transition from wide receiver to running back would go. But it's been fairly productive. This is the second game where he's had more than 13 carries. The only thing that does concern me about his involvement in Washington's offense is that he got 53% of the snaps. I'd like to see those numbers go up, and that's actually his third highest snap rate of the entire season. I'm hoping that if he can continue to be productive, like he was against Cincinnati, that they continue to increase his snaps, and he's able to capitalize and get a lot of carries and a lot of yardage. Like I said, he was a wide receiver, so we know he can catch the ball. The unfortunate part is that the Washington also likes to use J.D. McKissick, who actually had 52% of the snaps last week. But if they can keep Gibson in on more snaps, and I think that varies, or that changes up their offense and gives them more looks, more options as to what kind of plays that they can run. They have this week. They have Dallas coming up on Thursday, and I always get nervous for Thursday night or Thursday games to have a good passing offense. Usually they have a better, they're more run oriented for their offenses. So I like him a lot this week, going up against a bad Dallas offense, or bad Dallas defense rather.
Even though it is a quintessential Thanksgiving Day Dallas game,
I still like him. That Dallas's team is terrible.
It is, but
like
we were talking prior to the podcast that Dallas and the Packers, or the Lions, magically get all this power on Thursday game that they don't throughout the rest of the season.
Certain players do, yes, I agree, but I don't know that their entire defense will get those turkey powers.
Turkey powers. All right, Kyle, you had Raheem Mostert, who's on bye.
Raheem Mostert, he's got a bye week coming up. This is more of a play for playoffs.
He's coming off a bye. He's coming off a bye if they play this week.
Yes,
I thought you said he was going into a bye.
They are coming. Yeah,
they're coming off.
I might have worded that wrong. I apologize for that.
Sorry. No worries. Raheem Mostert. This is a long time play. So he's been out since week 6. So your Raheem Mostert fantasy owner, he's probably rostered, but you may be able to look at maybe trading for Raheem Mostert. I think that he looked phenomenal when he was healthy running the ball. We haven't seen it for a while. Maybe the owner in your league is kind of forgot about that. He's the 49ers like to run the ball. I know that Jeff Wilson is coming back, but when Raheem Mostert was healthy, he got all the work. And I just think that this team, with George Kittle being injured, Garoppolo being out, I think that they're going to lean on this run even more than they have in the past. And I think Raheem Mostert could easily see, 20, 25 carries a game. And in that offense, you're going to want that on your team. So this is somebody that I'm thinking about trying to target in our league of record. And I think it could be a good play come playoffs. So
if I'm not mistaken, you have him in our league, don't you?
No, I do not.
I thought I saw him on your roster.
Nope, not me.
Okay. Brent, you have Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, this is the Nelson Aguilar that Philadelphia Eagles fans always hoped would be present in Philadelphia. He is putting together an impressive season. He's only got 400 yards, but he's got 6 TDs on 24 receptions. He's putting together. He's becoming Derek Carr's number 1 target. Well, let's say number 2 target to Darren Waller, but he's being targeted downfield. John Gruden's offense is opening up for those deep passes and allowing. He's able to get behind defenders and exploit them, and he's making some pretty impressive catches. Even this past week, he was 6 of 9 for 88 yards and a touchdown. He's playing the next 2 weeks. This week, rather, he's playing the Atlanta Falcons, and this is another week that he can have a very productive week. His snap percentage is high. I think that they're going to do well, and he's going to get plenty of targets.
You know what's funny? Weller, I should say. I don't know why I said Waller.
You're right, yeah. Waller.
I guess when you said Weller for a second, it threw me off.
Darren.
Waller's not even, we look at the fantasy points here. He's not even in the top 50 here.
Of what?
Fantasy points.
No, I believe that. But
Yeah.
he's still their number 1 target.
Well, which is crazy to me because Nelson's on there. He's in the top, not counting down, but probably like in the 25 range. Which he's got 80 points on the season so far. The leading wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, has 147. So he's not too entirely off of being the top right now. If Derek Carr is now starting to target him a lot more for receptions, he's definitely, in my eyes, a good pickup. And he was available in our league. I was able to pick him up yesterday.
What'd you say his Nelson Aguilar's points are? 80 what?
80.
Darren Waller's at 79.9.
That's going off of that.
You're talking about our league?
I'm talking about ESPN.
Okay.
Scoring. But yeah. All right, Kyle. You have the man, the Zeke
Elliott. I haven't seen him, or I don't feel like we've talked about him very much on our podcast just because of that Cowboys offense and what they've been doing. They haven't looked good, but Andy Dalton came in last week and he played well. He had more control of that offense than any of these other backup quarterbacks that they've threw in. But with that, Zeke had 21 carries, and he went for over 100 yards. He looked just like Zeke. He looked like Zeke running the ball.
Yeah, I agree. I think he looked good. Do you think that Washington poses an issue because they have one of the top one of the top defenses, period?
Yeah, and I think they could pose an issue, but I think the Cowboys know what they need to do to win. The Cowboys, since they've had Zeke, they're 23-4 when he's had more than 100 rush yards a game. They know what they need to do to win, especially without Dak there. I think they're going to continue to feed him. That Washington defense, yeah, it could pose a problem, but if Zeke has 20 carries just like he did last week, I'm not sure if there's a defense in the league that's going to be able to hold him to under 100 yards with 20 carries.
Right on. Do you agree, Juan?
It's unanimous. I agree. You have Michael Thomas.
Yes, Michael Thomas. He finally had a...
Which we talked briefly a little bit about him earlier.
Yeah, he finally had a productive game. this season after all his injuries and issues. I think that I don't know if Taysom Hill purposely targeted him or if he just kind of went with the first read for each play. But man, he looked good. Being paired up with Taysom Hill, seemed to be a good little chemistry that they had. I still think that there's no question that Michael Thomas is probably a top 2, 3, 4 wide receiver in the league still. There's no question about that. I think that he needed a couple games to kind of get his legs underneath him and get back into playing shape. And now you see it. I think that they've got some matchups that are favorable. And really, Michael Thomas doesn't even need favorable matchups if he's getting the targets. But this coming week, he's got Denver, and I think that there's no question that you can put him out there and confidently start him in your lineup.
Yes, and with his 9 receptions on Sunday, he now has surpassed Jarvis Landry for the most catches by player in his first 4 seasons.
Yeah, dude's a monster.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But now I'm kind of wondering with Denver, going to Denver, so being out in the cold weather, and with Broncos defense, if last week was kind of like with pairing up with Taysom Hill, if it was kind of like a fluke, or is this going to kind of is it a good combination? So that's what I'm going to be looking out for this upcoming week. Sticking with wide receivers, Kyle, you had a stud of a guy last week in Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan Allen, 19 targets last week, and we went into depth about Justin Herbert earlier in the podcast, so I'm not going to touch too much on it, but I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. So I got Keenan Allen, and then I got Hunter Henry as my next guy. Keenan Allen, I just want parts of this passing offense. The Chargers threw the ball 49 times last week. That's unreal. And Keenan Allen got 20 or 19 of the targets. Hunter Henry had 7 targets. They both had a touchdown. Keenan Allen fumbled at the 1-yard line. He should have had another 20, or basically another 6 points from the touchdown. He should have had 2 TDs. I just want parts of this passing offense. And like I said, I don't want to get too far off on the subject because we talked about this in depth earlier, but Hunter Henry and Keenan Allen, they should continue to see targets in this offense, and I want parts of it.
I'm with you.
You reminded me when you spoke about that almost touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson Aguilar, he almost had 2 touchdowns this past week. He was had a blatant interference call in the end zone that definitely would have been a catch. Well, knowing him, it might not have been a catch, but it was definitely a catchable ball.
All right, to close this out, which I want to notate this week, we've had more receivers this week than we've ever had to date in this segment.
It was a good week for receivers, It
was.
There were a lot of receivers that tore it up this week.
But yeah, to close out with another receiver, you have Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett, this season, DK Metcalf is getting a lot of love, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that he shouldn't, but DK Metcalf also opens things up a little bit for Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett is a crafty receiver that has a lot of speed, and with DK Metcalf being able to exploit defenses also with that speed, it's allowed Tyler Lockett to get involved in intermediate routes and not have to be that deep threat that Seattle always relied on him for. He had 9 receptions, caught all 9 targets, had only 67 yards and a touchdown, but he was in for 74% of the snaps. They got a matchup against Philadelphia. Again, I like having DK Metcalf line up across from Tyler Lockett because DK Metcalf is going to take that number one cornerback off of Tyler Lockett. And that means Tyler Lockett's probably going to be able to best that cornerback 8-9 times out of 10. And Russell Wilson's a hell of a quarterback, and he is going to be able to hit him and really get some pretty good numbers. And I'm pretty sure that in the last 3 weeks, I want to say Tyler Lockett has outperformed DK Metcalf, and I think that that's a big reason why.
All right, so Metcalf is third overall in fantasy points when it comes to wide receivers. Lockett is fifth. Metcalf has 138 points. Lockett has 122. The leader, Tyreek Hill, 147. Can you guys think of a more dynamic fantasy football duo in history?
In history?
Well, let's go back at least, 15, 20 years. You don't have to. I don't know the answer. I'm just thinking like that is a damn phenomenal duo.
Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper?
Wouldn't that be the 90s?
You said
20 years. That would be
right.
2000.
That's close enough.
Was fantasy football even a thing back then?
So
Yes.
Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, each are catching the ball. I mean, they're getting a ton of targets. DK Metcalf this year has 73 targets. That's 18th overall amongst wide receivers. Tyler Lockett has 89 targets. That's 6th overall amongst wide receivers this year. Tyler Lockett has 8 receiving touchdowns. DK Metcalf has 9 touchdowns. So that's 4th and 5th overall in the league. They're definitely killing it as a wide receiver tandem. And like Brent touched on, I do believe that they complement each other very, very, very well. I just hope for both of their sake that Russell Wilson continues to throw the ball like he's doing. I hope that Pete Carroll doesn't, do what he normally does, and that's run the ball when Chris Carson comes back. So hopefully we can, we'll see these numbers be sustainable and they'll both keep performing.
Honestly, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season if Lockett and Metcalf would have been better than Evans and Godwin, I would have said no way. Evans Godwin would blow past them. I would have had to eat crow on that one. Godwin is not looking too good
What?
right now.
Have you lost your
Godwin's
mind?
looked pretty good.
He's just not getting. It's a different receiver. DK Metcalf and Tyler. I mean,
I'm talking strictly fantasy points.
okay, gotcha.
Strictly fantasy points.
He's been hurt though.
Yeah, he's had a lot of injuries and not had a lot of touchdowns. How many touchdowns has he scored? Maybe 1, 2?
No, I'm not sure of the numbers, but
Yeah.
nothing like DK Metcalf. And
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that rounds out this segment of Ooh, Me Likey.
Thanks, Helen. Tell me likey. Tell me want wingy.
All right, now it's time to get into potential waiver wire pickups. If these players are available on or in your league, get them. All right, let's start off with quarterbacks. All right, guys, we have Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Phillip Rivers, Derek Carr. Who do you, of those 4, give me your list in order of who you would take?
list in order.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Who would you take?
Who would I
Who
take?
would you take, Brent?
I like Derek Carr. He's probably tops on that list. Then probably Kirk Cousins, Phillip Rivers, and Jared Goff at the to round it out.
All right, so why would you take Carr over the other 3?
Carr seems to finally have John Gruden's offense under control, and he's I don't know if it's the play calling and John Gruden, because Derek Carr is throwing a lot more deep passes this year, and I think that's really opening up that offense and his ability. It's kind of like the Justin Herbert treatment. He's connecting on a lot of deep passes, and he's able to connect with Nelson Aguilar and even Hunter Renfrow has been running deep routes, and he's been able to connect with him several times. Derek Carr is looking good this year.
All right, I like it. Kyle?
I'm going back and forth. I'm not as high on Derek Carr. But did you guys watch the Rams game? Jared Goff literally
He did
threw the
that,
ball like every single play.
He was
He had
killing it.
51 attempts.
Yeah.
And they were just throwing the ball. Their defense is really good. I'm leaning Jared Goff as my first pickup, and I know he hasn't looked good prior to this week, but their defense has been playing well all year, and their offense not so much. But last week they looked really good. I'm gonna go Jared Goff, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, and then old man Phillip Rivers, who looks like he can't throw a football 10 yards, last on the list.
Honestly, I actually just thought about this. I forgot about Adam Thielen being on the COVID-19 list. Do you guys know if he tested positive or if he was just in contact?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
If he misses this week's game, I would probably drop him and probably at least put Phillip Rivers over top of him, maybe even Jared Goff.
Way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If all he's got is Justin Jefferson, I think that they will use Dalvin Cook and give him another 35 carries or whatever.
Yeah, I can see that.
but
I like the argument. I like it.
But if his passing efficiency is good, it shouldn't matter who the receiver is, if they're good or not. So it doesn't matter if Adam Thielen's in or not, right?
I'm saying that there won't be another wide receiver getting open.
They have backups,
Yeah, who are their backups? Name one.
George Michael
Yeah, exactly.
from Wham. He's
Irv
having a good
Smith.
Herb Smith.
Irv Smith.
Tight end.
one. All right, so
Give me a wide receiver. BC Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to make a little caveat to this waiver wire pickup. This is waiver wire / trade. We're not going after their top tier quarterbacks, receivers, or running backs because they're going to be hard to make trades at this point in the season. So we're going with the second tier players who are on the cusp of getting to that top tier. So the players we're talking about are on that level, which are more likely a team in your league is probably on the bench and not playing. So these are players you should target for trades if they're rostered, or if they're not rostered, go and pick them up. So with that being said, let's get into running backs. I'll give you guys a list of running backs. You tell me the same thing. Who would you pick up first? And just go down the line. So I'm going to toss a couple out to you. You got J.K. Dobbins, Carlos Hyde, Philip Lindsay, Giovanni Bernard, James White.
So for me,
Yes.
I'm going to go long-term play. Like he's obviously not playing this week, but I'm going to take J.K. Dobbins, pick J.K. Dobbins up. He got 16 carries last week. I think Gus Edwards had like 6 or 7 carries. J.K. Dobbins is by far, like, obviously the best running back in that backfield. And they're getting into their playoff push where they're going to have to start depending on the playmakers on that team. And J.K. Dobbins is obviously one of the playmakers. And the more the touches that they give him, the more dynamic they can be.
Okay, so say you can't get J.K. Dobbins. Who's next on the list?
For me, I'm going to go with Damian Harris.
Didn't mention him, but yes, good call on that.
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's on the list. You didn't mention him? Who'd you mention?
And then you get Damian Harris. He's a very valid candidate.
I just like his ability. Now, James, you did mention James White. I think he's going to cut into the pass catching role, but Damian Williams didn't have the pass catching role. Rex Burkhead going down last week and being injured, I think that really clears up that backfield where Damian Harris is going to be their rushing back and James White is going to be their receiving back. And there's going to be no really muddied water when it comes to who's doing what.
Right on. All right. Question posed to you, Kyle.
I agree with what Brent said, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. I like Damian Harris a lot. J.K. Dobbins, I liked him coming out of college as well. Obviously, he went to Ohio State, so we've all seen a good sample size of what he's capable of, and it all just boils down to if he gets the work. If he gets the work in that offense, it's kind of like the Jonathan Taylor thing. He gets the opportunity, he's going to perform. Honestly, though, I'm not comfortable starting any of these guys other than Damian Harris going forward.
There are two other guys that I would talk about. One, Carlos Hyde. If Chris Carson's out again, I think Carlos Hyde is you can pick him up and start him. And the other guy is Frank Gore. I know he's old.
I love you for saying that because he is a tank.
He's impressive. I mean, he's got to be like 45, 46.
He was a junior in high school when Jesus was around.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, you can pick up Frank Gore and play him if we play each other in the playoffs.
In all seriousness, though, if you need a running back and these guys you're not sure, or like J.K. Dobbins is available, but you can't play him this week and you need a running back this week, Frank Gore is going to get pretty much all of New York's carries. LaMichael Pirine went on IR, so he's not going to be playing this week. I think
so. He could get 20 carries for 36 yards and maybe trip and fall into the end zone on the way in. Is what you're thinking?
I don't care if he's getting 12 carries. And he has the opportunity he had 8 carries for 60 yards a couple weeks ago. If he has that opportunity, I'll take that chance.
All right, let's look at wide receivers, potential waiver wire pickups or trades. I'm going to let you off some wide receivers. You tell me your opinions. All right, so we got Damiere Byrd, Tim Patrick, Nelson Aguilar, Corey Davis, Curtis Samuel, Michael Pittman. There's a few others. I won't list them, but out of those guys, who would you pick up if you could?
What's Mr. Bird's first name? Okay. All right. I guess I'll go. We talked about Nelson.
No, say it. What is this word? How you pronounce this first? What'd I say?
I have no idea.
It sounded like Damiere.
It was like Domino's mixed with Mir. It was
Domino's. I do like some Domino's pizza.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Sponsor alert, Domino's, if you're listening. We love a sponsorship.
So I was Damiere Byrd. You can't trust Cam Newton at this point. 1 week it's Jacoby Myers. 1 week it's Damiere Byrd. 1 week it's him running the ball, not throwing the ball at all. I'm out on that. He could have a good game, or he could have 2 catches or 2 targets, and that's it. Of these wide receivers, it's probably Michael Pittman. Brent called it last week. Good call, my friend. Michael Pittman, for me, seems like the most trustworthy of this group. And then Brashad Perriman. The Jets are going to be down, and they're airing the ball out to Brashad Perriman. He's getting them deep looks, so I would probably go for the upside. If it wasn't Pittman, I think I would go Perriman.
For me, I'm all over Michael Pittman. If you can trade for him and people are still even slightest bit down on him, he's going to be the Colts number 1 for the rest of the season, for the foreseeable future. And he's a talented wide receiver. I think his senior year at USC, I want to say he was damn near 2,000 yards or had 2,000 yards. No, it wasn't 2,000. Maybe it was like 1,400 yards receiving. But outside of Michael Pittman, I like Tim Patrick and I like Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar is the Raiders, like I said, number 1 wide receiver. Michael Pittman's going to be their number 1 wide receiver in Indianapolis. And Tim Patrick, I understand that Drew Lock is not the best quarterback, but Tim Patrick seemed to be getting on the same page as him a couple weeks ago. And then he got injured, and that's when Jerry Jeudy had a big game. And now that Tim Patrick's been back a couple games, it seems like he and Drew Lock are getting back on the same page.
Fair enough.
All right, let's talk about tight ends. We got Robert Tonyan. That's what's it. Eric Ebron, Dalton Schultz, Jordan Akins. Kyle, hit me.
Oh man, it has to be Robert Tonyan for me. He this Green Bay offense is on fire. Aaron Rodgers looks good. Devontae Adams can't keep the pace that he set for himself. So I believe that Robert Tonyan is going to average the 5 receptions or better that he's got last week. He's getting some red zone looks. I like Ebron as well. The other guys, Schultz and Akins, I'm going to pass up on that. But I would probably go Tonyan over Ebron at this point.
Hit me up, Kyle. Brent.
I'm Brent. Thanks. That's the second time. I pass? Just pass on all of them.
No, there's honestly some good tight. I like Ebron a lot.
I would go if out of this group, if I am strapped at tight end. Tight end has been a struggle all year long, but I definitely like the way that Eric Ebron has been getting some looks in that Pittsburgh offense, and it seems like they're struggling running the ball, so they're going to be passing a lot, and I think Eric Ebron can take part in that.
Fair enough.
I like it. All right, guys, time to get to the who's wrong.
You wrong, bitch.
All right, there we go. I can't remember, guys. Who said what last week?
Man, I really don't remember last week. It was a really good week of football, so sometimes I get a little sidetracked, and we'll just move on from last week. I think I had a bad week.
You got a bad attitude too, sir. Terrible attitude. All right. Moving along here. Let's close this segment out with going over this week's games and who we think are going to win.
Whoa.
Are we going to go over
the
players?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Brent has Kirk Cousins ranked as the 20th overall quarterback. If Thielen is out, I can understand the argument. If not,
You know what?
The Vikings
look
have
that up real quick.
the Vikings have Carolina defense. Carolina's defense has not been that great. Carolina's going to score the ball. They're going to, their offense. Yeah, their offense is good. The Vikings defense is not good. I think this is going to be that game could potentially be a shootout. So I don't know, if he's throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson or whoever, somebody has to catch the ball there. And I think
Kyle Rudolph.
I think this game could definitely be a game where a bunch of points are scored. So Kirk Cousins ranked 20th. I think that's a little low.
So Adam Thielen, real quick, guys. His status for the Sunday's game against the Panthers is remaining up in the air. Coach Mike Zimmer said Wednesday,
he's going to play,
which was earlier today, that he doesn't know whether Thielen might be cleared to play this week. We'll just have, his quoting said, we'll just have to wait and see as the week goes on. Thielen was placed on the reserve COVID-19 list on Monday. So that's where we are with Thielen at this moment in time.
Okay. So if Thielen does play, I would move him up some. The thing about the Panthers defense is that, yes, they're not good as a whole, but where they are especially bad is in that run defense. And I think that if you have a player like Dalvin Cook, why go away from a guy that can exploit the bad parts of that defense?
I'm with you, but last week the Vikings in the red zone, they threw the ball to Adam Thielen. They threw the ball to their tight ends. They weren't running the ball like they normally do in the red zone. I'm not sure if defenses are keying in on Dalvin Cook, and that is, affecting him down in the red zone. But with that being said, I agree. Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. We shall see. Juan, your phone just went off.
All right. You guys down with you're wrong?
You got anybody else on this?
Yeah, Keenan Allen ranked 18th, coming off of a 20 target game. Same situation there. I think that like I touched on before. I just think that Justin Herbert's going to throw the ball all over the place. They're playing at Buffalo, so that should be one of them games that's also high scoring as well. So I would say Keenan Allen could easily be, a top 10 wide receiver going forward if they're throwing the ball 50 times. I mean, it's,
I don't disagree with that if they're throwing the ball 50 times. And yes, this absolutely could be a shootout with Josh Allen and that I knew it was coming. Just shut up.
Oh, gentlemen, I got a bet this week. Since you were riding so high on Josh Allen, you're riding so high on Justin Herbert. Let's do a bet.
Oh, I'm with it.
All right, we're gonna do who has the most passing yards.
Where do you have Josh Allen ranked?
I don't know. I'd have to look at my rankings. Hold on.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
What do you have him ranked?
Number 1.
Okay. So you have Josh Allen ranked number 1 versus Herbert.
He's number 4.
I'm willing to bet.
He's pretty nice.
Oh, you got him 4?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm willing to bet that he finishes with more fantasy points than Josh Allen.
We can do fantasy points.
Fantasy points?
Yep.
All right, well, write that down so
you
we remember.
You want to do Pittman and Beasley this week too?
No. I'm going to skip that bet.
Okay.
All right, so the official bet, gentlemen, is who has more fantasy points in our league this week, whether it is Justin Herbert, Josh Allen.
Wait, can I take that back? I just realized. No, I'm not. I played against him last week. Okay. Never mind. I'm good.
All right.
We're good.
So, talking about Keenan Allen.
Yep.
So, yes, Keenan Allen had a great game. Justin Herbert is having a great season. Keenan Allen's having a great season. But they're not going to throw 50 passes every game. And that's the thing is Keenan Allen hasn't been necessarily the I guess what I'm trying to say is Justin Herbert has been spreading the ball around pretty well. I mean, he's not just hitting Keenan Allen, but he's also hitting Mike Williams a lot. He's hitting Donald Parham on some serious deep routes. And then you have Keenan Allen, his matchup is going to be against Tre'Davious White. Tre'Davious White, these are the kind of receivers that he actually does well against, is a tactician per se.
I'm not scared of Tre'Davious White anymore. I know he is a good quarterback, but he hasn't done near as good this year as he's done last year. And we looked into these stats a few weeks back. I can't speak on the last 2 weeks, but prior to that, when I looked into Tre'Davious White, I can't even remember what game we were talking about, but he's not the shutdown cornerback this year that he used to be. We'll see.
You're right. We will see.
All right, who else you got on the list there?
All right, so and this pains me. This pains me to talk about. Brent has Alvin Kamara ranked as the number 3 running back. And last week, when Taysom Hill was getting the start, I was super concerned. I mean, Kamara has been averaging, 8 to 10. I don't know the exact. I don't have the stats for him, but 8 to 10 receptions a game. Last week, he had 1 reception.
No, 0.
0. 1 target, 0 receptions, I believe. Then, Taysom Hill is going to take off and run the ball. It's a fact that running quarterbacks do not target their running backs as much as your pocket passer. I'm really worried for Alvin Kamara over the while Taysom Hill is the quarterback. Could he? It's so hard for a player for me to talk bad about a player like Kamara but I've said his last name is Kamara and Kamara. I always intertwine them. I hope that's okay.
I did too.
But I have this strange feeling that Taysom Hill is gonna not utilize Kamara just, and I think that it's really going to affect him going forward.
He has on average right around 8 to 9 receptions per game.
So I was close. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Kamara did take a step back because of Taysom Hill's not inability, but lack of wanting to look for him out of the backfield and wanting to. I really feel like he focused on Michael Thomas and getting him involved in him being the playmaker. Now, was that partially game script and what Sean Payton was drawing up? I think so. I think that if they start running more screens or more passes out of the backfield, that Taysom Hill will look for him there. I also think that the Saints defense is gonna mollywop Drew Lock and
What's the definition of mollywop?
destroy. I think that they're gonna have the lead the entire game, and that it's gonna be a heavy rushing attack, and that bodes well for Alvin Kamara.
I'm with you, and I hope so. Like I said, I mean, you can't not start him, but 13 carries for 45 yards with virtually no targets is scary. Without that touchdown, Kamara has a terrible week. Absolutely horrible.
That doesn't make me lose any faith in him, though.
I hear you. I'm just talking about going forward with Taysom Hill. It's not taking anything away from the player. It's just like you talked about the game script, and I think that I don't know if you guys watched that game or not, but they were running Kamara from the Wildcat, so they were basically using him as Taysom Hill before Taysom Hill was the quarterback. And when they were doing that, Kamara's not going to throw the ball. The Falcons' defense is not good, and they are able to focus in on Kamara because they're trying to use him from that Wildcat position. It didn't work. So hopefully they get out of that and give him real carries versus that Wildcat formation, and maybe that changes everything. But that Wildcat formation for Kamara just didn't look good.
Is that all you got there, my main man, Kyle?
That's it, my friend.
All right, so that concludes the "You're Wrong, Bitch" section of the podcast. Now let's close it out now officially with a look at this week's games and who's got who. So with that being said, you know what? I don't have I forgot to write it down. Actually, no, I might be able to pull it up here. If you give me 1 sec, I should have been doing that. I know I'm slacking, guys. So in the interim, if you guys want to have some filler talk real quick,
What are you looking for?
I'll say something. I just want to, if you've listened to this whole podcast, like we greatly appreciate you. I mean, we've been talking about football.
We apologize for wasting your last hour and a half.
I wouldn't say waste. We've put out some great information, but
this is great content, bro.
I think we did, and this is just kind of talk, but we kind of got off on some subjects that were
definitely got on some
important
serious
to
tangents.
us.
Yeah.
And
honestly, I was just thinking about that when you're talking. I'm glad you said that because I feel like we can possibly split this up into two different podcasts. One where we focus on the headlines, and then one where we focus on the latter part of the fantasy. I like that idea a lot.
Yep.
Because we're approaching an hour and 40 minutes now.
And if you've listened to us for an hour and 40 minutes, I hope that you got something out of this. And I think that if you play fantasy football, we definitely bring some good information. But let's get in. You want to get into the games?
Yes, real quick. Who did you pick last week on the Monday night game between the Rams and Buccaneers?
I don't know what's my paper.
It's not in front of me.
Seriously, Juan?
Yeah.
What do you if I had to guess, I probably picked the Bucks, but
I think
I'm
we
not
all picked the
100%.
Bucks. I'm pretty sure we all picked the Bucks on that one.
I don't think so.
I
I think
did.
I picked the Rams.
Of course.
No. Well, in that case, we're all getting losses because they get unanimous. Okay, so with that being said, we started this podcast week
You
8.
have one job,
So
One job.
through 4 weeks, here are the standings as of now. In first place is Brent with 33 wins, 23 losses. In second place is Kyle with 31 wins and 25 losses. Then I'm in last with 30 wins, 26 losses.
Like always.
So just 3 back. Still a few weeks left in the season, boys. All right, so tomorrow we have, which was supposed to be 3 games. We have 2 games tomorrow. We have Houston versus Detroit. Who you guys taking?
I'm taking Detroit.
Going Houston.
I'm going to Houston as well.
This Matt Stafford is one of those guys that gets the turkey power. Just so you know.
Yeah, okay. Turkey power. Hey, did you guys see the quote that
Yes, Aaron Rodgers.
said?
Yeah,
That was pretty legit of him.
Yeah,
That was-
absolutely.
What did he say? I didn't see it.
He was talking about how everybody's on
Patrick
Mahomes and how
his,
he has
wild throws.
Yeah, like no look passes especially, and he it was
It was on the Pat McAfee
Matt Sims.
show.
You're right, Pat McAfee and AJ Hawk. You're right. They were they were complimenting Aaron Rodgers and saying that he does it, and he was like, "Yeah, I just like started doing it," and then he was like, "You know, another guy that does it all the time, like all the time, is Matt Stafford, and he gets no love." And he was like, "I don't know if it's because he plays in Detroit or what, but he flies under the radar about a lot of stuff."
It was kind of cool. The Lions social media team took that clip and put it out there as well too. I thought that was kind of legit that they put an opposing quarterback, especially the Packers, on a clip out there. But that was kind of cool. All right, Washington versus Dallas.
I'm going Cowboys.
I'll take Washington.
I'm going Cowboys too because of the turkey power. They're going to get some additional points there.
It was more Tony Romo, I believe, that had that turkey power.
No, this is America's team. Okay,
Get out of here.
on America's holiday, one of America's.
Ah, jeez. Don't even get me started on Thanksgiving.
All right, Sunday.
holiday.
We'll go to Sunday games. We got the Raiders versus Falcons.
Oh, okay. I'll take the Raiders.
I'm going Raiders as well.
Raiders, same here across the board. Chargers versus Bills.
I'll take the Bills.
Bills.
But what about Herbert?
I'm just kidding. I'm going Chargers.
Oh,
It's at 1 o'clock.
I talked him into that loss right there because I got the
No,
Bills.
no, no, no.
It's-
You
it's
didn't
at-
talk me into nothing. It's
Yeah.
gotta. We bet, so I gotta go with Herbert.
Hey, Herbert can still get more fantasy points and lose.
No,
It's true.
not gonna happen. It's true.
Okay, so Bills, Chargers. All right, Giants versus the Bengals.
I got to take the Giants.
Yep, I'm going Giants as well.
Giants, yes, definitely. Titans versus Colts.
I think Philip Rivers stays hot, and the Titans lose after talking all that junk last week to the Ravens.
I think the Titans win. I think Philip Rivers gets another week older and can't pick up the football barely.
Well, yes, he will definitely get a week older. I think that's a scientific fact. I think we can all bet on that one.
Big facts.
As much as I pain to say this, I have the Colts winning, but I want the Titans to win. All right, Panthers versus Vikings.
I'll take the Vikings.
Vikings.
Dalvin Cook all day.
Yeah.
Vikings, yep. Wait, even with Adam Thielen possibly being out?
Yeah, I think it's just I just don't like Kirk Cousins. I think Dalvin Cook is going to get 25, 30 carries and just tear them apart because the Panthers have a terrible run defense.
Cardinals versus Patriots.
Take the Cardinals.
Cardinals as well.
Tic-tac-toe, 3 in a row, Cardinals. Jets versus Dolphins.
I'm taking the Jets here. This is their one win.
This is the upset pick of the century.
No.
This is
Dolphins.
the Tua mindfuck game.
All right, enjoy racking up that loss because I have the Dolphins as well. Let's go Browns versus Jaguars.
Mike Glennon cannot win a game, so we're going Browns.
Browns all day.
Tic-tac-toe, Browns in a row. We got the Saints versus Broncos.
Take the Saints here.
Yep, Saints.
Tic-tac-toe, 3 Saints in a row. We got the 49ers versus Rams.
I'm going to take the Rams here reluctantly.
I'm not reluctant at all. I'm taking the Rams.
Tic-tac-toe, 3 in a Rams. We got Rams across the board. Chiefs versus Buccaneers.
I'm taking the Bucks.
Going Chiefs.
I'm going Buccaneers too.
This is Tom Brady. I said it a couple weeks ago when they played the Saints. I said that these are the kind of games that Tom Brady lives for, is rebounding off of.
I agree with you, but prime time this year, Tom Brady does not look like Tom Brady.
And then
this
what
is not prime time, but it is a big game.
And then what happens the next week?
I understand.
He comes back and lights it up.
And I want to say, so these two have met 3 times prior. Of course, Brady was with the Patriots, but Brady does hold the wins over Mahomes 2-1. So either Mahomes is going to tie the series or Brady's going to start building that lead. To close out Sunday night, we got the Bears versus Packers in a heated rivalry game.
You got to add a game into Sunday also. I'll take the Packers here.
Yep, I'm going Packers as well.
Tic-tac-toe, 3 cheeseheads in a row. All right, so we're going to add a game in here pending it gets played, unless something unforeseen happens. We got a heated AFC North game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens.
I'm sorry. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. It's not even going to be close.
All right, I take the Ravens.
Clearly, you haven't been around for the Renaissance era that started 2 weeks ago.
If it wasn't for the running backs being out, I probably would have taken the Ravens also.
I'm changing my pick because I had Pittsburgh circled, but I feel like this is a perfect opportunity to just go up a few more games on you guys.
No, because you picked a couple that are clear losers, such as the Chargers. But nonetheless, I digress. All right, to close out Week 12, Thanksgiving week, and November, we got the Seahawks versus the Eagles. The Battle of the Birds.
Seahawks.
Yep, tic-tac-toe. 12th man in a row. We got it. All right. Of course, there are no buys this week, so you don't got to worry about that aspect of your fantasy league. And next week is going to be the last week of the season for buys. All right, gentlemen. This has been quite...
We're not done.
I didn't say we were done.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were closing out.
Okay, I was.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, yes, our locks. Our locks. How can I forget? You know how I forget the locks? Because
it's been 2 hours.
No, me and Kyle sucked last week in our parlays.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Kyle, we did a 5-team parlay. And
Speak for yourself. I had one say in that, and that was the Chiefs Raiders.
and you picked that wrong, but nonetheless.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't lose by more than 7.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Anyways, you agreed with what was.
No.
You agreed.
Okay, I
You
agree.
agreed.
Okay.
Therefore, you have equal parts in this.
Yeah.
All right. So what
But we
games
went-
are our listeners not picking this week?
Yes. Okay. No. Hey, shut up. All right, Mr. All High and Mighty. What are your 3 locks for the week?
So I'm going to take the Broncos +6 against at home against the Saints. I'm going to take the Buccaneers. I think they win outright, but I'll take the 3.5 at home against the Chiefs. And then I'm going to take the Bears +8.5 at the Packers.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, Kyle.
I'm going to go Cardinals 2.5 at the Patriots. I'm going to go Saints by 6 versus the Broncos. And then I'm going to go Chiefs by 3.5 playing the Buccaneers.
My locks of the week is going to be Seahawks by winning more than 5 against the Eagles. I think that one's an easy win for them, especially with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, and the struggling Eagles. Easy, clear win for me.
Does Carson Wentz start or does Jalen Hurts?
Most likely Wentz is going to start.
Does Hurts take over?
That'd be a good question.
Interesting.
Yep.
Things to watch for.
Anyways, my other pick is going to be Houston against Detroit, which we can find out tomorrow how that goes. And then it was a toss-up between I do like the spread with the Cardinals and Patriots a lot. So I do like that one. But I think a lock for me is going to be the, for sure, 100%, no doubt about it, is Raiders and Falcons. Taking the Raiders. They're easily going to win by more than 3. So that's our locks of the week. We're actually going to put on that because I'm not going to be able to get to the boat by tomorrow for the Houston game. But we'll put some bets on this weekend, see how we go.
I'll donate some more money.
You guys are getting pretty good at it.
You know what? We like to think of ourselves as philanthropists. We're giving back to the community, and by the community, we mean the casino. Both the C words, so therefore it's okay.
How do you spell philanthropist?
Oh, it's a very...
Please,
it's easy.
please. I'm surprised you actually said it the correct way. Please.
PHILATHROPIST.
TH.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
good call, my
in the
friend.
words of DX, suck it.
So you go from philanthropy to DX to wrestling to WWE.
Hey, unlike you, I'm cultured and I have a wide variety of things that interest me. Okay. I know you like to stick to your, as Kyle likes to say it, nasty beer, but
No, I don't say nasty beer. I say piss beer.
okay. It's craft beer. It's not like your Bud Light, which is easily construed
Piss
as
beer.
Piss beer. All right, we digress here. We're getting long in the tongue here. So that rounds out this week, week 12, episode 6 of the In the Booth podcast. Be sure to, if you haven't already, show some love on social media. In the booth FF on both Twitter and Instagram. We're starting to get that up and running, which I'm very excited about. And of course, if you have any questions on what you should do in your league, please shoot them our way, and we'll give you an honest feedback.
Just wanted to say thanks for the shout out from CBS Sportsline.
Yes,
On
yeah,
Monday.
yeah, good call. So we just started this podcast,
Not
obviously.
CBS Sportsline. I'm sorry, CBS Fantasy Football Today.
So yeah, we just started this podcast, and we just started Twitter this past week. Less than a week ago, we really started the Twitter, and we already got a shout out on CBS Fantasy Sports, which was pretty dope. It was minute 15 of the last episode.
It was 15:30 at their 15:30 mark on Monday.
Yeah. So yeah, with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to episode 6, and we will see you guys next week. Again, thanks for tuning in. We out this bitch.
Thanks, Helen.
Robert.
Tell me what wings.
You can tell that we have been doing this for too long. All right.
On that note, guys, the definition of lollipop, as you said earlier, was
Mollywop.
No, mollywop. Sorry, mollywop. Is to swing one's arm back that it's almost rips out of its socket and then proceeded to completely knock the fuck out of someone in the face with speed moving.